Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm ffinlo Costain. Banks need to radically rethink how they support farmers in their shift to ecological resilience. That's according to new research from the Soil Association Exchange. I spoke to Joseph Gridley, Chief Executive at the Exchange, and I asked him what he thinks that banks are currently failing to do.
What this new research is showing us is that farmers are struggling to transition to more climate and nature friendly methods, not because of the cost of doing it, but because of the risk to do it. And what banks have typically done to support farmers in the past is to lend them more money to buy new bits of kit, bits of land, and give them preferential terms if they do it for green reasons. But what this report is showing us is that farmers are already so highly leveraged. They've got so much debt on their books, and it's that existing debt which is stopping them making these climate and nature friendly transitions. And so it's less about lending more money and more about giving preferential terms on maybe the existing stuff they've lent out, so that farmers can take a bit more risk.
When you say that, do you mean that farmers' current systems, their financial models are often locking them in and that they're therefore unable to find the headroom to invest in changing those systems?
Exactly that. Yeah. So this research was real farmer led. So 11 in-depth interviews and then 111 farmers, length and breadth of the country, got surveyed. And 60% of them are saying that they farm in a conventional way, not because they want to, but it provides almost an insurance for the financial system that they're already locked into. They know if they use synthetic inputs, they can get the outputs that enable them to service the debt that they've already got, and so they can't take that leap and try and do things in a more climate and nature friendly way.
So what sort of finance is it that these farmers are in need of?
So again, what this report suggests is there are definitely situations where farmers need to borrow more money. Maybe they do need to buy a new bit of kit for a contract or land, but that in fact the bulk, this middle of UK farmers that we really want to help with this. It's not new money. They can't take any more debt. They're already highly leveraged. And what they need is a bank that works with them on the existing debt that they've got to offer preferential rates and wraparound support so that a farmer can experiment with new business models, getting the farm more diversified and working better with climate and nature.
Joseph, just talk me through some of the things that you've been told that farmers might need to fund in transition.
So a lot of what we hear is around almost like smoothing out the cash flow. So we've all heard about this J curve, that Savills research that shows yes, in year one the conventional system is more profitable, but by year six this regenerative agroecological one is 18% more profitable. And so there's a bit which is around how do you, I guess, change the financing rules so that a farmer can have a bit of a more flexible cash flow during that transition period. That's really, really important because it gives the farmer headspace to experiment with new products on the farm, new business models, and get nature working really hard for them again.
Let's take, for example, dairy. Much of the advice for the last 20 years or so has been for dairy farmers to intensify to increase yield, and this has often resulted in fully indoor systems. Many of those farmers are now locked into that system, so it's really very hard for them to just walk away. Do you have a sense through your research of the journey that those farmers might need to take in their regenerative transition?
Yeah, so one of the farmers we actually interviewed in this report was a dairy farmer, and as you kind of allude to, they had gone on this journey to, I guess, more intensification, had borrowed more money to do that. And what they described was they'd got to a point where they were selling white water. And what they actually needed to do was have a bit of breathing space so that they'd come back and focus on the quality of the product and also on the kind of net margin that milk was producing. And with that, it gave them, I guess, financial headspace. So they weren't constantly servicing the big debts that they had, but they could kind of, I guess, have more control of the financial situation of their farm.
Banks succeed, of course, by minimising their financial risks. Are you suggesting that they, like farmers and taxpayers, should take on more of the transition burden themselves?
Yeah, 100%. And the very fact that a bank is lending to a farm means that they're already taking on the climate and nature risk of the farmers that they lend money to. Research from the Green Finance Institute suggests that about 4 to 5% of the agricultural portfolios of UK banks can be lost because of climate and nature risks. On 20 billion, which is what's lent to UK farmers, it's about £1 billion, which is at risk could just vanish because of climate and nature risk. And why not deploy some of that capital now to help farmers, like this dairy farm we were just talking about, make that move towards a kind of more climate resilient system, because it will help the banks in the long run with their risk profile, but also the farmer in the medium term with their cash flow.
So in your framing, this is an investment for the banks themselves, which then in turn increases their own future financial resilience.
Exactly that. And even on, beyond the risk profile, what this research also showed was 70% of farmers would look more fondly on their bank if they helped them with this transition. So this is a great piece for customer retention, maybe even customer attraction, because farmers want help to navigate this world, and they want their banks to help them do it.
And just finally, Joseph, your report says that banks need a radical rethink. So what are the key recommendations?
There's lots and lots of recommendations in there for banks, for farmers, for development finance institutions, but I'll focus on the bank ones here. The first thing we're really recommending is something that we're calling nature transition finance. And this is different to what's out there at the moment. So, you can go to a NatWest or a Virgin Money today, and they will give you preferential green rates for a kind of to buy an asset, a direct drill or something like this. What we're saying is we need to really expand what this green finance can be for. It can't just be for buying new things. It needs to be able to give a farmer the headspace to rethink the whole system, to look to a more holistic farm that puts climate and nature at its heart. And that finance should be available on lending the farmers already got. So if they commit to farm in a more nature and climate friendly way, it should be available for that. And then if they want to borrow more money, it can be extended to that too. So that's the first recommendation. The second one, I guess, is the corollary of that, which is banks, they all say that climate and nature risks are real, but very, very few of them price that risk into any of their models. And so lending money to a conventional farmer and a regenerative farmer is priced the same at the moment. We think that we really need to start to change that, and that banks should publicly recognize and start to price in the climate and nature risks that they're seeing. The reports are showing, Bank of England Green Finance Institute, that's coming down the line in the next 10, 20 years. That needs to be baked in, so that doing the right thing for climate and nature is also the right thing for the risk profile for the bank.
And just to be specific here, are you talking about discounted loans? What sort of thing do you have in mind?
So it might be, discounted loans, it might be waived arrangement fees. A lot of what we heard was actually payment holidays. So in the same way that when, COVID came around, banks gave farms a 3-year grace period to try a camping site or something like this. Is there a similar thing where a farmer could have a 3-5 year grace period where they didn't have to pay back anything, to give them some of that financial headroom to think about how their farm might transition?
That was Joseph Gridley from the Soil Association Exchange. More news as ever on our website 8point9.com. That's all for now. We're back soon. Thanks for watching.